All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the work session for the City of Wildwood for Monday, December 11, 2023. Ms. Eldridge, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Boland.
Here.
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Councilmember Bartoni.
Here.
Councilmember Nyan. Councilmember Farmer.
Here.
Councilmember McCutcheon. Councilmember Rainbow.
Here.
Councilmember Flasher.
Here.
Councilmember Garitano. Councilmember Brost.
Here.
Councilmember Edens.
Here.
Councilmember Ottenberg.
Here.
Councilmember Dodwell.
Here.
Councilmember Marshall.
Present.
Councilmember Jaxie.
Here.
Councilmember Hopper. Councilmember Galani.
All right, welcome everyone. Happy holidays. Before we get to action items under information, we have 18, I believe. Is there anything under information that any member of the council would like to discuss before we go to action items? Councilmember Rose.
Yeah, on investments, I guess, I know it's been a while, but maybe next month if we can get an update as to where we stand on trying to get an agreement in place.
Yes, that's generally our plan right now. We're currently working off the recommendation from the Administration Public Works Committee. Right now, the agreements have been pretty well reviewed by the city attorney, so we're looking to have it at council in January. Thank you.
Councilor Edens.
I just want to thank the Administration Public Works Committee for support for the Strecker Road crosswalk, excuse me. And I'll be asking for a second reading of that tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else from anyone? All right, that takes us to action items. Mr. Vintage, Portner Park.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, this particular item relates to a discussion and action taken by the Planning and Parks Committee at its last meeting in November. The particular reason it is before City Council tonight relates to the process to develop what is described as the master plan. And that process is to establish a citizens committee that would be partially nominated by City Council and confirmed by the mayor. And so tonight, there is a desire on the part of the Planning and Parks Committee to receive the endorsement of the full City Council of this process. And then once the process is endorsed, there'll be steps in it that'll begin with our Planning and Parks Committee and ultimately arrive here at City Council again. If there are any questions on the part of the mayor or City Council, Department would be glad to answer them at this time.
So Joe, I just had one. I don't know if you misspoke or what, but you said the appointments would be done by the council and approved by the mayor. Did you mean that or the reverse of that?
They'd be nominated by City Council and approved by the mayor.
The charter provides that any commission or committee is appointed by the mayor with consent of the council.
Sorry, the microphones aren't working very well.
Testing.
Testing.
Much better.
Maybe it's just me. I can try to speak as loud as I, oh, there we go. The city charter just simply provides that the mayor makes appointments to all committees and commissions.
Well, as presented, then I guess I should be more clear. As presented, there was a request for at least the council people in Ward 6, where the Portner Park is located, to at least have some nominations for the mayor to consider.
I don't have a problem with any member of the council having people they want considered for things. So whether they're from Ward 6 or otherwise. So that's fine with me.
Thank you. And if there's no objection, the process will proceed forward as recommended by the Planning and Parks Committee.
So are you looking for any action from the council tonight?
Yes, the department would request a motion endorsing or approving the recommendation of the Planning and Parks Committee relative to the master planning process for Portner Park.
And it would be as the composition is outlined in this number 2 on page 2. Is that right?
As recommended by the Planning and Parks Committee. Obviously, if there are others on the City Council would prefer a different approach, we can certainly discuss that tonight or have it back in January.
Yeah, I mean, this obviously, I mean, I don't know if there's a right or wrong on this, but it does seem a little weighted to Ward 6. And I mean, this is a city park. So,
Yes,
so
sir.
you've got the two council members from Ward 6, 5 members from Ward 6. So that's 7. And then you have one from the homeowner, Henkin Valley, that's 8. And Deer Hollow, that's
9.
9. And then we have 2 from everyone else in the city. That seems a little heavy. I might suggest, and obviously we're looking for input from the council on this, but I might suggest that the 2 at-large residents be moved to 4 from other wards. What are your thoughts, Councilmember Bartone?
Well, I agree that it seems a little heavy, but it also seems like a lot. I mean, it's a total of 11 people. So,
Good
know,
point.
like maybe the 2 at large going to 4, but do you really need 5 other members from Ward 6? And like, I'm almost thinking we refer this back to planning and parks and let them take another stab at it.
Well, how about this, to your point, which is an excellent one? How about 2, so we do the 2 council members, just going down the list here, the 2 council members, 1 rep from either of those 2 homeowners associations, 2 from residents from Ward 6 and 2 from the other wards.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit more balanced and doesn't sound quite as large. I mean,
Everybody like that?
yeah,
Someone want to make a motion? That we proceed
I would
with that?
almost like
Councilmember Farmer
somebody
makes the
from Ward
motion. Is there a
6.
second? Seconded by Councilmember, I'm sorry. It's a Ward 6 item. Councilor Rambo would have a second from your ward. Would you want to make the motion for that? Or no, you don't have to. It's your ward. Okay. So you don't want to make the motion? Okay, so you have a motion from Councilmember Farmer, seconded by Councilmember Jackson. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of the motion, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? And this will be consistent for the minutes, Ms. Eldridge, with what the city attorney said as to the charter. If anyone from Ward 6 or otherwise has people that they would like to be considered for this, let me know. Is the intent, Mr. Venich, that this be appointed at the next meeting in January?
If possible, the Planning and Parks Committee and the Department of Planning and Parks would like to get started on this particular process, but certainly it could wait till February.
Is it the intent that this is an ad hoc committee, until such time as the park gets to a point of being available to the public? Or is it something intended to be as a standing?
It is not intended to be a standing committee. Its goal or its charge would be to create the master plan for the park. And then once the master plan is in place, assist where needed in the future.
Okay, so it'll be an ad hoc committee. All right. Done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. With permission of the council, we have one other item under action, which is an executive session. We have a few miscellaneous items. Would there be any objection to Joe going through the miscellaneous items before we do that? So he doesn't have to wait around. Okay, Mr. Venich, we will rearrange the agenda. First, receipt and file ARB.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor and members of City Council, at the November 2023 Planning and Parks Committee, a matter was discussed regarding the dissolution of the Architectural Review Board. As part of that discussion, rationales were provided relative to the current board membership and the regulations that establish how that membership is formed. Ultimately, the Planning and Parks Committee endorsed proceeding forward with the discussion about the dissolution of the Architectural Review Board. Since the Architectural Review Board is established under the regulations of the zoning ordinance, at the December 4th, 2023 Planning and Zoning Commission, a request was presented from the Planning and Parks Committee via the Department of Planning to post the matter for public hearing before the Planning and Zoning Commission at the next available meeting. As you know, the public hearing is intended to solicit public input as well as comments from the commission members. And then once the public hearing is concluded, a report with recommendation is prepared by the department, and in this case, with assistance from the city attorney. Tonight, the department is providing you an update on the process and wants to assure the city council members the public hearing is the first step in the process. And certainly we expect to hear from our commission members as well as the public. If there are any questions about the Planning and Parks Committee discussion and the action of the Planning and Zoning Commission, the department would be glad to address them now.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Bennett? Councilmember Dodwell?
What date are you going to hold the public hearing?
The earliest would be January 16th, which is a Tuesday due to the Dr. King
Mhm.
holiday.
Okay. Let's just make sure we get it on there.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Let's just make sure we get it on there so we can move this along.
Yes, ma'am. And we'll do our best to advertise it more so in this case, given that there might be a greater interest in our typical ordinance amendments.
Councilor Edens?
Is this, the discussion just strictly going to just be on dissolution only? Or I know that, I can't remember if it was another council member or the mayor, I apologize, suggested that it would potentially be a subcommittee that met within planning and zoning. Are there other options that are going to be discussed as well?
Yes, I think as part of the public hearing, you want to at least provide the universe, and one would be to retain the board in its current capacity. The other would be create another, what we call committee of the Planning and Zoning Commission. We have the Site Development Plan Committee. And then I guess the third, at least off the top of my head, would be to dissolve the board as was discussed.
Okay. And I will watch this. I will read the memos. But one thing that I was not clear on from reading this memo was who is in charge of the increased use of PRDs was cited as a way to catch many of these things that were redundantly discussed in the architectural review board. I guess my question that would be, I'd like in the memos would be what happens when there isn't a PRD. If it's just a very, simple kind of cut and dry, we believe we meet the basic requirements and we're not seeking an exception, but maybe they don't meet upper level kind of design ideals, and how do we deal with those instances? So,
Councilmember Edens, I would say the vast majority of rezonings that the city council is asked to review and act upon are either part of a plan district, like the CA plan commercial district, the overlay district, as you just referenced, or a conditional use permit. All of those give the Planning and Zoning Commission and or City Council the authority to basically impose conditions relative to architecture and the process associated with it. There are some outliers occasionally where we have a single lot in town center that develops with a dwelling, and that is subject to architectural review. That would probably be an impact caused by the dissolution of the board.
okay, thank you. That's just
Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none. Next item relating to PC 39-94.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor and members of City Council, the Planning and Zoning Commission was asked to approve two amendments to an existing site development plan for the dog cafe that exists on Manchester Road. The amendments were post-activity, so to speak, in that the owners of the dog cafe and retail store had installed a fence contrary to what was on the approved site development plan, and then did additional clearing beyond what was authorized as well. The Planning and Zoning Commission did ultimately approve changes to the site development plan, but consistent again with the design standards and architectural guidelines of the town center plan, in that the fence has to meet certain requirements and cannot extend into the front yard area of the property. And they also required a landscape restoration plan for the unauthorized disturbance at the rear of the lot. Tonight, this item is just for receipt and filing, and if there are any questions regarding the matter, the department would be glad to answer them at this time.
Any questions from any member of the council? Councilmember Clark?
Yeah, I suppose my question would be, if the area was cleared without getting approval first, what was cleared? Were there any grand trees? And if so, are we going to follow our grand tree and our tree canopy plan that we have already, and asking them to replace them as stated in that?
Yes, first and foremost, the department and then Planning and Zoning Commission will apply the regulations of our new tree preservation and restoration code. The assessment of what was there appears to be a little bit of a difference of opinion. The owners of the property stated that it was primarily honeysuckle, secondary growth, understory type, and no grand trees. A visit to the site does seem to indicate that the larger trees were retained, but at least in the pile of debris, there appeared to be several that could have been potentially grand trees, and that's part of the assessment that will ask the landscape architect or the nursery person to identify as part of the submittal and go from there. You're welcome, ma'am.
Councilor Dodwell?
Joe, I see that you're requesting that the slats be vertical. Can you give me a reason as to why?
Traditionally, our architectural guidelines of the town center plan had talked about picket fences with vertical pickets
Mhm,
and a certain amount of spacing between them.
mhm.
And so from that perspective, we also now have our new regulations that speak to opacity and things along those lines. Certainly, we were just trying to carry forward what was in the architectural guidelines. I know the preference on the property owner's part is to have the horizontal slats, and that is a trend we see a great deal of. But for now, town center had wanted more vertical pickets as part of a picket fence.
But don't we see that the vertical pickets with space in between for a dog park is going to distract those dogs potentially, and they'll be barking through the slats, so they'll be excited because they see activity around the space. So you're going to make the current owners take down this and put up vertical?
The city is requesting that the existing fence be disassembled, the portion extending in front of the dwelling be removed and replaced with the required landscaping. And in terms of the vertical pickets, the one accommodation that was given is it can be site-proof. So there'll be slat to slat, or as they're installed. There shouldn't be any opacity issue because it is in the rear yard area.
Anything else? No? All right. Moving next to PZ 15-17.
Yet in this particular instance, the Planning and Zoning Commission was asked to approve an amendment to a site development plan that was acted upon back in 2020. The site development plan was for a large water feature and associated waterfall structure on an approximately 60-acre parcel of ground. At the time that the site development plan was acted upon by the Planning and Zoning Commission, there were several outstanding items that had to be addressed. A condition of final approval of the site development plan was for these items to be completed. 2 of the 3 have been completed, and the site development plan has been moved forward to accommodate the permitting process, which is the third. The permitting process has created issues for the neighbors, the property owners, and certainly the city in terms of enforcement. The department's recommendation to the Planning and Zoning Commission, which was favorably acted upon, was to kind of decouple the permitting component from the site development plan, which is somewhat unusual, but the hope was at the time that it would encourage or facilitate compliance. It hasn't. And so from the department's perspective, now the Planning and Zoning Commission, the decoupling of the permit requirement to the site development plan will allow the conditional use permit to finally become effective and from the department's perspective, fully enforceable. And the intent, under the direction of the Planning and Zoning Commission, is to proceed forward with the enforcement action relative to the permits, regardless of the site development plan now. If there are any questions regarding this particular item, the department's available to answer them. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? All right, next, Mr. Vintage, the 2024 Planning and Zoning Commission calendar of meeting dates.
Again, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members
And
of
if
this.
you want, you can do that one and the next one all together. They're
Okay.
kind of-
The next three items that the mayor has referenced relate to housekeeping chores of the Planning and Zoning Commission, which were concluded on December 4th, this past Monday. The first is the calendar, and the Planning and Zoning Commission will continue to meet on the first Monday of the month, starting at 6:30 PM. The only difference in the cases is January and September due to the holidays associated with those timeframes. And then if you're interested, there's an update on the 2023 work program. And the Planning and Zoning Commission adopted its work program for 2024. If there are any questions or comments, the department's available to respond to them. Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the council? All
Thank
right,
you.
seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Vintage. All right, so that takes us to the executive session. We will need a motion and a roll call vote. To do that, would someone like to make that motion? Made by Councilmember Galani, second by Councilmember Marshall. Any discussion on the motion to go into closed session? Seeing no discussion, Ms. Eldridge, please call the roll on the motion.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Bartoni,
Yes.
Councilmember Nian,
Yes.
Councilmember Farmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Rainbow,
Yes.
Councilmember Flasher,
Yes.
Councilmember Garitano,
Yes.
Councilmember Bruce,
Yes.
Councilmember Edens.
Yes.
Councilmember Ottenberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dodwell, Councilmember Marshall,
Yes.
Councilmember Jaxi, Councilmember Hopper,
Yes.
Councilmember Galani.
All right, motion carries. So we will go into closed session, and then when we are done, we will come back into the work session. So council members, we are, thanks to everyone for your patience. We just, we're going to wrap up our work session here. Just finished an executive session, which we needed to do. And so the last thing on the item for the work session is a motion to adjourn. Would someone like to make that motion made by Councilmember Farmer, seconded by Councilmember Dodwell? It's a non-debatable motion, so we'll go right to the vote. All in favor of the motion to adjourn, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, so the work session is adjourned. I would like to now call to order the May meeting of the council for the city of Wood for Monday, December 11, 2023. Ms. Eldridge, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Vaughn,
Here.
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Councilmember Bartoni.
Here.
Councilmember Nyan.
Here.
Councilmember Farmer.
Here.
Councilmember McCutcheon. Councilmember Rambo.
Here.
Councilmember Flasher.
Here.
Councilmember Garitano.
Here.
Councilmember Brost.
Here.
Councilmember Edens.
Here.
Councilmember Ottenberg.
Here.
Councilmember Dodwell. Councilmember Marshall.
Present.
Councilmember Jaxi.
Here.
Councilmember Hopper.
Here.
Councilmember Galani.
All right, welcome everyone. Good to see all of you. Happy holidays. For those of you who are comfortably able, if you would please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Next is our minutes. They are on the consent agenda, so we're going to go to public participation. Before we start, I just want to mention a couple of things about that. Public comment is a valuable component of our meeting. Anyone who wishes to speak must indicate they would like to do so by completing a card and providing it to our city clerk, who is seated to the left of the podium, or using the raise hand feature on Zoom. When your name is called, please state your name and ward. To ensure that all who wish to speak have the opportunity to do so, there is a 5-minute time limitation, and I will let you know when the time limit is reached. If you have any questions for us, please mention that during your remarks and identify the official you would like to respond. That official will make note of it, and at the conclusion of public participation, any official who chooses to respond will have 3 minutes to do so as to all questions directed to that official. The official may choose to respond to your questions after tonight's meeting, and we may also post any responses on the City Council page of our website. Finally, please be respectful to others in making your remarks. This means that interrupting others and using profane and abusive language are prohibited, and I want to thank everyone in advance for following these. First speaker card, please.
John Gunther.
Good evening, all. I'm John Gunther, 18041 Melrose Road, Ward 1. Good evening. I'm here tonight regarding the possible dissolution of the City of Wildwood's Architectural Review Board. I'm a resident of this area since 1966, a fellow in the American Institute of Architects for Design, a member of the founders of the City of Wildwood, 1995, the first Planning and Zoning Commission, 1995 to 99, a founding member of the Architectural Review Board, 97, and have served as chair, vice chair, and secretary. I served the City of Wildwood continuously for its first 19 years and then some in various capacities. I respectfully ask that the Architectural Review Board remain intact and of service to our city, its citizens, and the built environment and natural environment. From its inception, the Architectural Review Board, the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the Department of Planning have worked together effectively and collaboratively with very positive and high-quality results. You might think of this something as a three-legged stool with each in support of the other. I spoke at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on December 4th. In discussions which followed, we were told that the request before you was simply to hold a public hearing to discuss the ARB. Then we were told of the intention to dissolve it. We were told that the ARB is redundant and that P&Z Commission is already performing this function. Then P&Z members attempted to describe what an architect does. Then we heard that a special subcommittee of P&Z could be formed to perform architectural review, even if they're not sure what an architect does. Then we heard that the city could engage a consultant architect to review proposed projects for a fee. Architects of our city have volunteered their services for the ARB for 26 years since we founded it in 1997, with positive proven results, resolving design concerns such as I heard expressed by the citizens at the last P&Z meeting. If we are truly taking into account what is in the best interest of our city, we should fix the issues of concern regarding the ARB instead of dissolving it. If there are not enough architects, then we should discuss city regulations and policies, term limits, the possibility of serving again, and the number and composition of members on the ARB, instead of discarding years of professional knowledge and service. Has the city reached out to the 14 architects within our city? If our goal is an efficient process, then keep the ARB. They review projects and help resolve issues in concert with and in support of planning and zoning and the Department of Planning, giving their professional opinions and guidance. This benefits the citizens of our city who are asking for better designs, and developers and their architects proposing new projects as they seek clarification and direction. This approach has proven to be efficient and of great value, contributes to a quality built environment, and helps maintain property values. Please do not dissolve the Architectural Review Board. Stay the course. This is no time to abandon a well-established framework our citizens count on. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker card, please.
The next speaker card is Jean Vedvig.
Jean Vedvig, 16709 Clayton Road, Wildwood, Missouri, Ward 4. The definition of dissolution is termination or destruction by breaking down, disrupting, or dispersing. The dissolution of the republic, the dissolving of an assembly or organization. The definition continues on. The closing down or dismissal of an assembly or an official body. Dissolution is a pretty final word or a pretty final action. The Architectural Review Board in the city of Wildwood has been an intricate part of the Wildwood success story. Yes, there are difficult actions to accomplish and maintain the municipality and the boards and commissions. But building a prosperous community was never touted to be easy. Professionals who are part of your community will work to deliver the mission of the incorporation. Imagine a baseball team without a first baseman. I mean, you could evaluate how many hits are to the first baseman, but the majority of them go to other fields. And after all, if a runner gets to second, you have more opportunity to get them out at second or third. But really, is it a team without a first baseman? What we have in the city of Wildwood is a true team. You're actually sitting in one of the biggest success stories, the town center. They said that it would never work, that the city of Wildwood, when it was incorporated, would never work. And our plans and goals may have been lofty, and you're carrying them out every day. And it's called a success. The quiet success of the Architectural Review Board can be witnessed by the many projects that have come to be with the teamwork of the City Council, the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the Architectural Review Board. I would ask you to keep the Architectural Review Board and let it remain intact, and do not dissolve the Architectural Review Board. Having professional guidance is exactly the part of the potion that got us to be such a success. And I thank the council members who were listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker card, please.
The next speaker card is Alan Rohrig.
Mayor and City Council, my name is Alan Rohrig. I live at 18052 Babbler Woods Road in Ward 1. I just want to address the ARB issue as well in terms of dissolving it. I happen to also be a principal with Mainline Group Architecture. Our office is in Ladue. We've been in business for 19 years. We've been before many architecture review boards, Clayton, Ladue, Kirkwood, Frontenac, Wildwood. And it's a very important institution that I think a lot of people take for granted, that they really need to understand that it isn't just a matter of how pretty a building is or whether or not it's appropriate. You're really talking about being able to rectify issues to keep the value of properties of the adjacent homes, adjacent businesses, but by suggesting ways in which to improve that building that do not impose burdens upon those of developers and builders that are going to build it. I'm not really understanding why the city of Wildwood wants to remove the ARB board. Is it a monetary issue? You have an all-volunteer board. It can't be a monetary issue, perhaps, but what replaces it? Is it simply the planning and zoning is going to look at these issues, and can they articulate what is potentially at fault with a design when it's placed in front of them? Perhaps they can, but you're kind of leaving it to chance, shall we call it. Wildwood is a very progressive city. And I think that this ARB elimination is really kind of regressive. And I think it's a step in the wrong direction. The city of Ladue has recently updated their standards, and they have a very strong architecture review board. You can go and look at what their standards are. They're a little different than Wildwood, and I'm not saying Wildwood needs to be Ladue, but there have been members on that board, Fred Goebel, Matt Wolf, that have been on there for years, and they really understand the issues of the city and of the developers in the community. So they really bring a lot to the design process and keep, like I said, the property values are really what's at stake. The other issue is, as a trustee for like an HOA or any of your HOAs, if you have a building that's proposed to go in that potentially is going to devalue, what pre-course do they have to stand on? A lot of HOAs don't have the legal funds in their coffers to take it on themselves, whereas you can rely on the city's architectural review board to address those issues and keep the standard up. It's really about the quality of the built environment. John Gunther, the esteemed architect who has spoken and has given many years of voluntary service, makes many good points, and I hope you all take heed of them. I don't think the ARB should be dismantled. I think it should really be bolstered and allowed to be modified to address any issues that anybody is seeing with the ARB board. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Anyone on Zoom? All right. Okay, thanks to each of you who came to speak this evening. Next, under mayor announcements and appointments, so we have a couple. So as you know, we lit our tree last weekend before last Saturday, and we had some help lighting the tree. And we are privileged this evening to have the 3 children who helped me do that with us. If you'd like to come over here, kind of by the city clerk, I would appreciate it. Corrected. I think we have 2 of the children with us this evening, Penny and Hunter. Where is Hunter? Right here. All right. So the tree basically would not have been lit if it hadn't been for these children. It was all they're doing. And I can't tell you how much I really appreciated them being there with me, because it was a big task. And it was a a tradition that I started last year, just kind of by happenstance. When I got ready to light the tree, there was a youngster who came up, and I thought, it'd be good to let him do it. And so that's how I got started. And here we are. Now, I have one extra thing for you since it's Christmas time. And I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to show you something here. So every mayor of every city has one of these. This is called a gavel, and you hope you never have to use it. But once in a while you may. I haven't had to use it too much. And it's always up there right in front of them. Well, guess what I have for you tonight? We're going to make sure that each of you have the mayor's gavel. All right. Yeah. Now you have to use that sparingly and not on your parents or your brothers and sisters. Let's go with. If you want to have another picture, I'm happy to stand here. Otherwise, it's up to you. All right. Okay. So we'll grab one here. Thanks so much. Okay, next. We are also honored to have some winners among us tonight. So as you may have read, the Lafayette High School girls volleyball team won the Class 5 state championship. And I thought it would be nice if we recognize them tonight. So they are here. Please stand. All members of the team, your parents. So hopefully you can tell how proud we are of you. So is there, I'm assuming there's a captain somewhere among the Mets? Is there a captain? 4. Okay. Well, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think it might be interesting if any one of you would like to tell us what you think the number one thing that happened that got you to that point was. What was it that really made it happen? Dancing in the locker room before each game. There you go. All right. Well, we are very proud of you. I can't thank you enough for being here this evening to let us honor you. And thanks for being part of our community. And we wish you all the best in your careers. And if you want to pick, we can get one too. It's up to you. You want to pick? All right. Why don't you come over here and we'll let him. Otherwise, we'll have a bunch of furniture.
All right, thanks, guys.
Ladies, while the mayor's making his way back, thank you for coming, but you definitely don't have to stay if you don't want to. It's not very exciting after this. You should all get gavels.
I'll consider. All right. Moving next, we don't have any public hearings this evening, so into legislation. These are second readings, and so we have a couple that we need to handle individually. And if there's no objection, I think if we handle these individually, we can probably handle the remainder. I think we have 3 we need to handle individually, and we can handle the remainder in mass Would there be any objection if I rearrange the agenda to accomplish that? Okay, so let's take the first one up individually, which is Bill 2832. It's been requested that it be postponed indefinitely. Is that correct? Mr. Brown. Administration Public Work 2832 postponed indefinitely. 2822. Oh, sorry. Director of Planning, Mr. Vintage, 2822, my apologies.
Yes.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion to postpone indefinitely Bill 2822? Made by Councilmember Jaxi, seconded by Councilmember Farmer. And Mr. Vintage, do you want to say anything about the reason for the postponement indefinitely?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, the owner of property was very much eager to get the process started. And as the process was unfolding, there were many requirements that he was not used to dealing with. Most of his projects have been in Franklin County. And then ultimately he did work without permits. So there's been a stop work order. We've not heard from him for a couple of months. So instead of continuing to have it on the agenda, the thought was when the property owner is ready, we can start anew.
Got it. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion to postpone Bill 2822 indefinitely? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, next is Bill 2833, the budget. We have three amendments. Those have been provided to you. We could do all three amendments in unison, could we not? Mr. Young?
I think the three amendments are, yes, you can do all three amendments in unison, and there is a bill that I believe reflects all of them.
So do we need to have a motion to amend as indicated?
After a second reading, a motion to amend would be appropriate.
Okay. So is there a motion for the first reading of Bill 2833? Made by Councilmember Ottenberg, seconded by Councilmember Edens. All in favor of the motion for second reading of the bill, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Ms. Eldridge, please read Bill 2833 a second time.
Bill number 2833, an ordinance of the city of Wildwood, Missouri, adopting the municipal budget and capital improvement program for the city of Wildwood for fiscal year 2024, second reading.
Okay, and City Administrator Lee, would you like to just briefly, for the benefit of the public, let everyone know what the three amendments to the budget are?
Most definitely. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council. So tonight we have the original bill on the floor, which would be just 2833. That was what was proposed back in November. We have Bill 2833A, which would amend the 2024 municipal budget and five-year capital improvement plan to approve a transfer of $1 million from the general fund to a newly created deer management fund. This would take the overall estimated year-end balance from $15,403,114 to $14,403,114. Bill number 2833B amends the 2024 municipal budget and five-year capital improvement plan to approve the transfer of $1,010,724.07 from the general fund to the capital improvement sales tax fund. These monies referred to as the settlement funds in the last meeting. This would decrease the ending fund balance of the reserve, the general fund from $15,403,000 to $14,392,000. And lastly, we have Bill 2833C, which amends the 2024 municipal budget and five-year capital improvement program to accommodate both the transfer of $1 million to the newly created deer management fund and the transfer of $1,010,724 from the general fund to the capital improvement sales tax fund. And amendments in Bill 2833C, both changes are accommodated. Thank you.
Thank you. So would someone like to make a motion to amend the bill as indicated by the three amendments? Councilor Edens?
Amendment C.
One amendment or all amendments?
Amendment C does both A, B. It's, you don't have to do. C is all inclusive. C is all the
Okay,
above.
so we're doing,
yes.
fair enough. Okay, is there a second to the motion? Seconded by Councilmember Ottenberg. All in favor of the motion to amend Bill 2833 as indicated, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So the bill is amended. Any other discussion on the bill as amended? Right, seeing none, Ms. Eldridge, please call the roll for final passage of Bill 2833 as amended.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Bartoni,
Yes.
Councilmember Nian.
Yes.
Councilmember Farmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Rambo. Councilmember Flasher,
Yes.
Councilmember Garofano, Councilmember Bros,
Yes.
Councilmember Edens.
Yes.
Councilmember Ottenberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dodwell,
Yes.
Councilmember Marshall,
Yes.
Councilmember Jaxi, Councilmember Hopper,
Yes.
Councilmember Galani.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving next to the last of our items, I think we will need to handle individually is Bill 2836. There's been a request from the Department of Planning to postpone Bill 2835 to January 2024. Is that correct, Mr. Benich? Okay. Would someone like to make a motion to postpone Bill 2835 to the January council meeting? Made by Councilmember Hopper, seconded by Councilmember Flasher. Any discussion on the motion to postpone the bill? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to postpone Bill 2835 to the January 2024 City Council meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, that leaves going back to the beginning, the second bill on the list, Bill 2831. It's an addendum to the police service agreement affecting all wards. Bill 2832, which is the authorization for me to enter into a maintenance agreement with respect to our public roads, rights of ways, and so forth, and it concerns all wards as well. And we've already handled Bill 2833. Moving next, that'd be Bill 2834, relates to a professional approval for a professional services agreement to be entered into for our updating our landscape, and that affects all wards. Bill 2835, we've handled Bill 2835. Next would be Bill 2836, also an agreement with Omni Tree Service affecting all wards. Bill 2837, a consultant's agreement with Civil Design, Inc. as to Main Street Extension Project affecting Ward 8. Bill 2838, a consultant's agreement with George Butler Associates relating to the engineering design for the Route 100J turn affecting wards 1 and 6. And finally, Bill 2839, a city consultant agreement with Holland Associates for in relation to the Old State Road Shared Use Project, and that affects Ward 7. So would there be any objection to handling the second reading of Bills 2831, 2832, 2834, 2836, 2837, and 2838 and 2839 in mass? Councilmember Hopper? You looking to do that for a second reading or something, or? We can if you want. Yep. Okay. So we've had a request to handle that separately. So we'll take that out if there's no objection. So as to all the others, is there any objection to handling those in mass? All right, seeing none, is there a motion for the second reading of the bills? Made by Councilmember Dodwell, seconded by Councilmember Nian. All in favor of the motion for second reading of the bills, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, with that, Ms. Eldridge, please read bills 2831, 2832, 2834, 2836, 2837, and 2838 a second time. Sorry?
Bill number 2831, an ordinance of the city of Wildwood, Missouri, approving the 2024 police services cost sheet as an addendum to the police service agreement by and between St. Louis County and the city of Wildwood, second reading. Bill number 2832, an ordinance of the city of Wildwood, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to negotiate and execute certain public roads, rights of way, and parks maintenance agreements on behalf of the city with certain contractors for public roads, rights of way, and parks maintenance within the city, second reading. Bill number 2834, an ordinance of the city of.
Just one moment, make sure I got this right. Which bill did you want pulled? I'm sorry, I thought you said 2830. Okay. So, or I'm sorry, 2839. So we're going to be 2839, 2837. Okay, so is there any objection to the motion for second reading by consensus being for the substitution of Bill 2839 and taking out 2837. Seeing no objection to read in mass. Okay, so please read in mass. I'll say it again. Bills 2831, 2832, 2834, 2836, skipping 2837, as we just discussed, 2838 and 2839.
Yeah.
Thank you. My apology.
Do I need to read these two again, since I already read them?
I would start over.
Okay. Bill number 2831, an ordinance of the city of Wildwood, Missouri, approving the 2024 police services cost sheet as an addendum to the police service agreement by and between St. Louis County and the city of Wildwood, second reading. Bill number 2832, an ordinance of the city of Wildwood, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to negotiate and execute certain public roads, rights of way and parks maintenance agreements on behalf of the city with certain contractors for public roads, rights of way and parks maintenance within the city, second reading. Bill number 2834, an ordinance of the city of Wildwood, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with DG2 Design for the city's updated landscape manual and sustainable plantings guide, second reading. Bill number 2836, an ordinance of the city of Wildwood, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to negotiate and execute a city contractor agreement with Omni Tree Service Incorporated for the planting of new trees within the public rights of way of the city of Wildwood, second reading. Bill number 2838, an ordinance of the city of Wildwood, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to negotiate and execute a city consultant agreement with George Butler Associates Incorporated, doing business as GBA for engineering design of the Route 100 J-turn project in the city, second reading. Bill number 2839, an ordinance of the city of Wildwood, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a city consultant agreement with O.R. Cologne Associates LLC for right-of-way acquisition services for the Old State Road Shared Use Path project within the city, second reading.
Okay, thank you. Is there any thing that Joe or Rick, you would want to add? Rick, in your case, relative to Bill 2831, 2832. 2836, 2838, or 2839.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have anything to add, other than I'm available for any questions from City Council regarding these bills.
Okay, are there any questions for Rick on any of those bills? All right, seeing none, Mr. Benich, on Bill 2834, do you have anything you'd like to mention?
As the Director of Public Works noted, I'm available for any comments or questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Benich or comments? All right, seeing none, Ms. Elbridge, please call the roll for final passage of the bills.
Councilmember Bartoni?
Yes.
Councilmember Nian?
Yes.
Councilmember Farmer?
Yes.
Councilmember Rambo?
Yes.
Councilmember Flasher?
Yes.
Councilmember Garitano?
Yeah.
Councilmember Brost?
Yes.
Councilmember Edens?
Yes.
Councilmember Ottenberg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodwell?
Yes.
Councilmember Marshall?
Yes.
Councilmember Jaxi?
Yeah.
Councilmember Hopper?
Yes.
Councilmember Galani? Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Okay, that takes us to Bill 2837, which is the last of our second readings. And this relates, as I mentioned earlier, to a consultant agreement with Civil Design for the final design of the Main Street Road Extension Project affecting Ward 8. Is there a motion for the second reading of the bill made by Councilmember Flasher? Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Garitano. All in favor of the motion for second reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Councilmember Hopper abstains. Any other abstentions? All right, motion carries. Ms. Eldridge, please read Bill 2837.
Bill number 2837, an ordinance of the city of Wildwood, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to negotiate and execute a city consultant agreement with Civil Design Incorporated for professional services to complete the final design of the Main Street Road Extension Project, second reading.
Okay. Mr. Brown, anything you want to mention on Bill 2837?
Thank you, Mayor Bolin. I don't have anything in particular to mention. Department is available for any questions. I would also acknowledge that Mr. Vunich is available as well, as he has some background relative to the development and the the town center plan as well. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Mr. Bennett, anything you want to add?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, as you know, recently there was a lot of discussion relating to Main Street extension, particularly with the McBride Homes proposal. Also, more recently, with the new proposal, North Latitude 38, Main Street extension has again been identified. From the perspective of the departments, it's an important project from the standpoint of our town center plan and would be consistent with the town center plan with its extension in the future. Also, from an economic development standpoint, we know that allowing traffic to have an alternative or a new way to access downtown, the downtown district of town center is a positive. And certainly from the perspective of the developers, this is one of the items that caused significant delays for them, not necessarily unreasonable delays, but delays. And from the perspective of the departments, we hope that if we can pre-plan it and have it ready, shovel ready, that'll put us in a position not only to help the next developer or developers, but also potentially for grants in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Councilmember Brost?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, I second what you said, Joe. I guess what I just wanted to pass on to the council is that from my involvement on planning and zoning, and then from, I guess my opinion is when I joined council, I really put a very high priority on internet. And with all the discussion we've had in planning and zoning, I really feel that the extension of Main Street and the development of Crestview is now the item I'm the most passionate about. We have to get this right. And when I say we have to get it right, it includes making sure the dead end lines up with the street. And I just want to, there's a tremendous amount of discussion at P&Z and a lot of citizen input. But, you know, getting our Main Street done for the benefit of town center, for economic development, and really to put the walkability of our city together, we really want to get this done, but it's so important that we get this extension done properly. It's going to be forever. I mean, it's going to be forever. So I've made a lot of friends in the planning and zoning, I'm sure lately, but I just wanted to pass on my feelings on it. And it's whether it's one project or another, it's so important that we orchestrate a group where we get and I hope everyone has walked Crestview, gone through all the subdivisions. It's going to be very important that you're very familiar with what's there now, because it's just on the other side there. And I don't think it's going north right now. So I do think we really have to, it's a big priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Eldridge, please call the roll for final passage of Bill 2837.
Councilmember Nian.
Yes.
Councilmember Farmer.
Yes.
Councilmember Rambo.
Yes.
Councilmember Flasher.
Yes.
Councilmember Garitano. Councilmember Brost.
Yes.
Councilmember Edens.
Yes.
Councilmember Ottenberg.
Yes.
Councilmember Dodwell.
Yes.
Councilmember Marshall.
Yes.
Councilmember Jaxie. Councilmember Hopper.
Abstain.
Councilmember Galani. Councilmember Clark. Yes. Councilmember Bartoni.
All right, the bill passes. That takes us to first readings. We have 5. Bill 2842 relating to our agreement with Ms. Natalie McAvoy for our farmers market. She's been with us on that for a few years. That concerns all wards. The second is a lot split relating to Grover Heights in Ward 8. Third, Bill 2844 is the approval of an agreement with Go Green Lawn and Landscape for beautification of our rights of ways affecting wards 1, 5, and 8. Next is Bill 2845 that authorizes an increase in a previously approved agreement with HR Green relative to the new roundabout at State Road VA with the budgetary implication of $25,000 that affects wards 1 and 3. And finally, Bill 2846 that amends our code to essentially allow for the council's actions relative to deer management. by deleting paragraph 4 of subsection C of the ordinance and placing and putting in its place another subsection allowing for special hunts that affects all wards. Would there be any objection to handling the first reading of these bills in mass? Seeing none, is there a motion for the first reading of the 5 bills? Made by Councilmember Jaxie, seconded by Councilmember Farmer. All in favor of the motion for first reading of the bills, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Ms. Eldridge, please read bills 2842, 2843, 2844, 2845, and 2846 a first time.
Bill number 2842, an ordinance of the city of Wildwood, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Natalie McAvoy for the management and oversight of the city-sponsored farmers market for the 2024 season, first reading. Bill number 2843, an ordinance of the city of Wildwood, Missouri, authorizing the division of an approximately 1 acre parcel of ground into 2 lots, which is currently Lot 7A of Grover Heights, Lot 7A, Plat Book 370, page 220, a consolidation plat located in Section 12, Township 44 North, Range 3 East, City of Wildwood, St. Louis County, Missouri, on the southwest corner of the intersection of Manchester Road and East Avenue, and to be hereafter known as Grover Heights, Lot 7A, Lot Split Plat, first reading. Bill number 2844, an ordinance of the city of Wildwood, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to negotiate and execute a city contractor agreement with Go Green Lawn and Landscape for the beautification of the public rights of way of the city of Wildwood, first reading. Bill number 2845, an ordinance of the city of Wildwood, Missouri, amending section 2 of ordinance number 2726 of the city of Wildwood, Missouri to increase the total authorization amount of the city contractor agreement with HR Green Incorporated to complete the design of a new roundabout improvement project on State Route 109 at State Route BA South within the city of Wildwood, first reading. Bill number 2846, an ordinance of the city of Wildwood, Missouri, amending section 210.220 of the Code of Ordinances of the city of Wildwood, Missouri by deleting paragraph 7 of subsection C in its entirety and enacting in lieu thereof a new paragraph 7 of subsection C, providing regulations for special hunts in the city, first reading.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, Mr. Vintage, would there be any objection on the part of the department to having a second reading of the Grover Heights lot split?
The department would not object to a second reading. Just briefly, originally it was 3 lots. Mike Whalen of Whalen Custom Homes consolidated it into 1. Ultimately, he sold it, and new owner, Kyle Brown, would like to subdivide it into 2 lots and build 2 new homes on the corner there.
Okay. And Mr. Brown, would there be, is there any need relative to Bill 2846 for the special hunts to have that in place sooner than the January meeting? I'm sorry,
Mayor,
Mr. Lee.
I can answer that piece. Thank you. And yes, if possible, we would like to have 2 readings tonight just so we can get it shored up so White Buffalo can get in there and do their job. Thanks.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion for second reading of bills 2843 and 2846 made by Councilmember Dodwell, seconded by Councilmember Clark? This will take a 2/3 majority vote because we'll be passing legislation in finality at the same meeting. We'll do a voice vote, see where that goes. All in favor of the motion for second reading of the 2 bills, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the supermajority has been met. Ms. Eldridge, please read bills 2843 and 2846 a second time.
Bill number 2843, an ordinance of the city of Wildwood, Missouri, authorizing the division of an approximately 1 acre parcel of ground into 2 lots, which is currently Lot 7A of Grover Heights, Lot 7A, Plat Book 370, page 220, a consolidation plat located in Section 12, Township 44 North, Range 3 East, City of Wildwood, St. Louis County, Missouri, on the southwest corner of the intersection of Manchester Road and East Avenue, and to be hereafter known as Grover Heights, Lot 7A, Lot Split Plat, second reading. Bill number 2846, an ordinance of the city of Wildwood, Missouri, amending section 210.220 of the Code of Ordinances of the city of Wildwood, Missouri by deleting paragraph 7 of subsection C in its entirety and enacting in lieu thereof a new paragraph 7 of subsection C, providing regulations for special hunts in the city, second reading.
All right, any further discussion or questions by any member of the council on the 2 bills? All right, seeing none, Ms. Eldridge, please call the roll for final passage of bills 2843 and 2846.
Councilmember Farmer. Councilmember Rambo,
Yes.
Councilmember Flasher,
Yes.
Councilmember Garitano, Councilmember Bros,
Yes.
Councilmember Edens.
Yes.
Councilmember Rottenberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dodwell,
Yes.
Councilmember Marshall.
Yes.
Councilmember Jaxi.
Yeah.
Councilmember Hopper,
Yes.
Councilmember Galani,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Bartoni,
Yes.
Councilmember Nian.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So once signed, they will be in effect. That takes us, we don't have any readings coming from hearings this evening. We have resolutions on the consent agenda, and Councilmember Edens, I know you mentioned earlier something about wanting a second reading of resolution 2023-25, since it's a resolution.
We
once
don't
it
need that.
passed, it just is in effect. So
Yep.
there's no way to we don't read those. That's all right. So consent agenda includes approval of the minutes, the approval of expenditures. And we have two resolutions, resolution 2023-24 relating to an agreement with Charter to obtain proprietary information that we need to move forward with the planning process for phase 2 of our internet access project and bill that affects all wards, and resolution 2023-25 relating to an agreement with Civil Design for the Strecker Road crosswalk improvement affecting wards 2 and 4. I'm sorry, we have 3 resolutions. And then resolution 2023-26, which relates to an agreement with Kelp Contracting for demolition of a home at the Portner Park location that's in Ward 6. If everyone's okay with the consent agenda as presented, a motion to approve the consent agenda would be in order. Councilmember Bartoni?
Well, I just have a question.
Sure.
I'm fine with reading them all, but I do need to abstain from the minutes, so can we still?
We'll
vote on
take those
everything?
out.
Okay.
Yep. So we'll handle those after we do everything else. We kind of got this teed up. Councilmember Hopper? Okay, we'll take that out of the consent agenda. So that will leave approval of expenditures, approval of resolution 2023-24 and 2023-26. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the revised consent agenda as presented, made by Councilmember Edens, seconded by Councilmember Farmer? Any discussion on the motion to approve the revised consent agenda? Please, any discussion? No? Okay. All those in favor, seeing no discussion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. That takes us to the minutes. If there are no changes, I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes from the council's November 13 work session and main meeting, made by Councilmember Hopper, seconded by Councilmember Clark. Any discussion on the motion to approve the minutes as presented? Councilmember Clark.
Yes, on page 6, there was a motion made regarding the Deer Management Fund. And there was a roll call taken on the motion with the following results. And it's 10 ayes and 4 nays. And then it says, whereupon Mayor Boland declared the motion failed.
That should be passed. I think we'll let our city clerk look at that though.
Good catch.
Okay, so without objection, we'll revise the minutes editorially to reflect that. Thank you, Councilmember Clark. Any other changes or suggestions or any discussion? We have a motion to approve already. Okay, would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes with that editorial change made by Councilmember Farmer, seconded? I thought we did have a motion to approve the minutes. Sorry. Yeah, I think we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. What can you? I'm sorry. Who seconded the motion? You seconded the motion? Okay. Oh, that's right. And then you went into your deal. Okay, yeah. So we had, now, did you get the first on the motion? Okay, who was the first? Yeah, that's right. Councilmember Hopper. Thank you. All right, little teamwork here. Okay, so we have a motion already on the floor to approve the minutes, and without objection, once the motion is made, it's in the possession of the council. So as long as there is no objection from any single council member, it will be the motion will be that the minutes be approved as editorially changed. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of the motion to approve the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We have one abstention, Councilmember Bartoni. All right, and that takes us to resolution, was it 2023-24? 25. Okay, resolution 2023-25 is before the council and it concerns wards 2 and 4. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as presented? Made by Councilmember Farmer, seconded by Councilmember Edens. Ms. Eldridge, please read resolution 2023-25.
Resolution number 2023-25, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Wildwood, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to negotiate and execute a city consultant agreement with Civil Design Incorporated to design the Strecker Road Crosswalk Improvement Project Phase 2 in the City of Wildwood.
Okay. Mr. Brown, do you have anything you want to add or mention relative to this resolution?
Just briefly, Mayor, thank you. This would be a project to add 2 additional crosswalk improvements on Strecker Road. Previously this year, we installed flashing beacons at 2 crosswalks. This would add 2 more crosswalks to that section of Strecker Road between Clayton Road and the Ellisville city limit. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Rick or any comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor of the motion to adopt resolution 2023-25, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We have one abstention, Councilmember Hopper. Any other abstentions? All right, the motion carries. Resolution is adopted. That takes us to miscellaneous. Does anyone have anything they want to mention under miscellaneous? Councilmember Dodwell.
First off, will we be bidding out phase 2 of our internet rollout in January?
I'm sorry, what was it, a question?
Will we be bidding out or obtaining an updated quote from our current vendor for phase 2 internet rollout?
I am hopeful that that is the case. I know we're going to be pursuing that.
Okay.
And there was an item that in that regard that came out of the last meeting a week or so ago of the admin PW.
Okay.
And it's on my list. The next couple of days, I want to talk with the group about that.
Okay.
The reasons you'll see, but yes, the short answer is
Okay.
hopefully so. Yes.
Yeah, that's all I needed. And then I've got a second question.
Sure.
Are we going to have this Strecker Road sidewalk on the January meeting so that we can begin design on that? We are 2.5 years. Actually, we're about 25 years behind on that sidewalk, but
so is that something that we need to have on the agenda again, or can it?
Yes.
Well, no, I want to hear from where the director of administration and public works, what he thinks we need to do to, in other words, to affect what you're wanting to do. So would it move the project forward if we can get whatever we need to get by the next meeting, or is it done and you don't need any further action given what we've already action we've taken?
Mayor, I think currently the department is effectively on hold. We haven't moved forward with that project. There are concerns relative to the property owners and getting easements from to build the sidewalk. So certainly if there's requirement for more information, I'm sure we could provide that.
There's not a requirement for more information. There needs to be a plan for the city to move forward with completing the sidewalk. We have easements on the north side of the road, except for 10 feet. My residents would be more than happy to walk across 10 to 20 feet of grass instead of 1,000 feet of grass in order to continue their walk through our city.
City Attorney Young.
I'll talk to you offline about plans.
Okay.
We need to get around those problems, gentlemen. Just saying.
Thank you, Councilmember Dodwell. I saw another hand, Councilmember Ottenberg. Are there any other miscellaneous items? Seeing none, we have a motion to adjourn, seconded by Councilmember Galani. It's non-debatable. All in favor of the motion to adjourn, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?